Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us here on Mirror Now. I am Afrida Rahman Ali. Well, over the Tableau controversy, daughter of Subhash Chandra Bose, Anita Bose, spoke exclusively with Times Network, saying that Bose is the son of both India as well as Bengal. She said that both the centre and the state should therefore respect him. She also said that rather than pulling down each other, there should be a friendly competition. This after Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee wrote to Prime Minister Modi, urging him to reconsider the decision of excluding West Bengal's proposed tableau themed on Subhash Chandra Bose on the Republic Day parade. So, in fact, the important part here is that the daughter of Subhash Chandra Bose, Anita Bose, has spoken to us earlier. She's connected with us on the phone line right now. Very good afternoon, Anita Bose. Thank you so much for joining us. On the issue of Tableau controversy, you have voiced your opinion, but I want to ask you once again here, what has been your thoughts on this? We now have a letter written by the Union Defence Minister clarifying that all procedures were followed. There is a system in place to do the selection, and there was absolutely no bias involved in this to exclude the tableau that pays a tribute to your father.
First of all, good afternoon to everyone in Kolkata who is watching. I would like to point out that I'm very happy that many different sections of the Indian population and the Indian governmental levels wish to honor my father on the occasion of his 125th birthday. But some things are a bit puzzling in the whole process. When I first heard about the Bengal tableau being turned down, I wasn't sure what the circumstances were. And one of the things that came to mind was that possibly the central government had planned a tableau of their own. Of course, one might also surmise that all of a sudden they remembered that they ought to have done something. And when they heard that Bengal was going to make a tableau, they sort of pretended to have planned one of their own all along. I'm not very happy about making this a controversy and a squabble because, I mean, after all, Netaji has been dead a long time ago. He's a great son of India, and he was one person who always stood for Indian unity in all aspects of life. And so I think it is really rather ridiculous that one should make an issue of controversy out of making a tableau in a parade, which, by the way, is questionable whether it should take place at all, considering the corona situation. So I certainly hope that it's not going to a mass spread event of an infection. But if people go to watch the parade, then I hope, amongst other things, they will remember Netaji as a dedicated son of his country. And I also hope that they will take some inspiration from his ideas and ideals.
Mamata Banerjee was in fact the first to raise this issue with a rather strong pitch, where she talks about how this is an unfair exclusion. And to that, like I mentioned, the centre has now responded clearly. But you have expressed, if I'm not mistaken, on a number of occasions, how the legacy of your father is being politically exploited. You said that it was an election year in Bengal when his birth anniversary was celebrated with much fanfare. So you seem to be suspicious of both the sides in this case.
I'm not suspicious in that sense, but I'm quite aware that political parties and political institutions will use occasions. This is not illegitimate. I mean, after all, a political party or a political person wants to reach across the electorate and across to people, and a sort of topical occasion is certainly maybe more prone to reach other people than if you just sort of talk about your party program or something. So it's not illegitimate to do that, but it certainly would explain that last year there was more ado about the beginning of the anniversary year than there is today. It may also be that the various governments were quite busy with other problems, including the ill effects of the corona epidemic on the population.
Yes.
So you might speculate on many things, but the best thing would be to honor Netaji in a spirit of camaraderie and cooperation. But the
Yes.
second best is to compete about it.
Absolutely. So that's a very nice way to put it. In a spirit of camaraderie and cooperation, he's a leader for the country. He's a freedom fighter for the country at large. So there should not be these attempts to appropriate his legacy, if that is what you're trying to say. But what I also want to ask you here is that you have said in one of your first reactions that we can't imagine a Republic Day function this year when your father would have turned 125 not to have a tableau featuring him. Do you still go by that, or you have changed your position on that issue?
No, certainly. I mean, my father's birthday is on the 23rd of January. The Republic Day is on the 26th. So it would have been a very logical thing to tie these two occasions together if one wanted to honor him anyway. And so I think whether you have a tableau or whatever, there are probably different ways one could honor him. But that's fine. So why not do it, and why not have more than one if you can't agree on one? It certainly doesn't seem very fair that the Bengal tableau first seems to have been turned down without much explanation and maybe even apology for turning it down because one had other plans in competition already.
Yes, because, let me be very clear about this. What the Bengal government is clearly suggesting is that the centre or the Modi government, the BJP, is being unfair to Netaji's legacy by not featuring him. You are saying that there might be compulsions, there might be reasons for it. That's very gracious of you to say that. But you have rightly also underlined that there seems to be a competition to appropriate his legacy. And there were multiple issues raised earlier as well by the Bengal government. Is there anything you would like to say on the competition as you yourself put it?
Maybe not so much on the competition, but I would like to point out one thing, that if one wants to criticize the central government at all in this connection, I would say that it is unfortunate if they wanted to play lip service or whatever service to Netaji, that they do not honor his ideas and ideals much more so, because I have a feeling that it would be the duty of politicians who want to give a good example to people by their own views in their own life, that they would try to unite the country and bring together the people rather than tolerate divisive forces or even further them.
Yes. Now, in what way, Ms. Bose, would you have liked the memory of your father to be honored? What would have been the ideal way?
I think in many ways I approve how they were honored, because there were many different events by different groups to honor him. And I think it is very touching that, in fact, so many different persons and groups were still so dedicated to Netaji and his ideas to remember him. And I think many of the freedom fighters, I think, set an example through their lives for others today, which one could sort of take as an example. and as an ideal sort of to follow. And my father certainly was one of those very dedicated men and women who sacrifice a lot for their country. And we cannot all be as dedicated and sacrifice that much. But I think in a little way, each and every one can contribute to the well-being of his or her countrymen and women, and of people around the world.
Yes. So, again, going by your previous statements, Anita Bose, you have lauded the BJP government on one occasion, at least on the issue of declassifying the files related to Netaji. But then again, you've been critical when you were not made part of that high-level committee that was formed to celebrate a year-long program to commemorate the birth anniversary of Netaji.
I was a member of that committee, but it doesn't exist. It has never, to my knowledge, communicated or met even virtually, which would have been a possibility in this day and age. But so it's not my membership in the committee which is an issue. It's just that a committee was set up with, I don't know, 60 or 80 members and never did anything. So, but you might say that there are maybe more urgent tasks to be done than to celebrate something.
Yes, my last question to you is, would you urge the government at the center to reconsider their decision to have a tableau, or, you are willing to let this go by? Do you think that you will make an appeal further going forward for the 26th of January for the tableau to be included?
Well, I will not write to the Prime Minister or any of the members of the government. I would certainly hope that Tableau is included, since Bengal offered one, and possibly the central government had not originally thought of that. Accepting that Tableau would make a lot of sense, or make invite some of the very few veterans of the INA who are still alive to participate in the parade, sort of to stand in for Netaji. But I certainly would not appreciate a petty fight about utilizing Netaji and his name that you saw, that different people want to get at each other.
Right. That's very gracious of you to put it that way, that, you would have liked it, but then you would not get into any kind of a petty fight. One last question to you. Are you planning to come to India? Would you be here for the 75th independence on the occasion of the Independence Day in August? Or now, of course, this would be too close to call, but what are your plans of visiting the country?
Well, I had planned to visit India for the 125th birthday of my father, but since the corona situation was continued to be so uncertain and risky. I mean, I'm almost 80. My husband is over 80. We also do not particularly care to expose ourselves to an infection because I have a feeling that in some ways people not only in India, all over, are a bit careless very often about that. And of course, India tends to have great crowds for all sorts of occasions, even at a time like this. So I've postponed that. So eventually, I don't know whether for Independence Day or for some other occasions, I'm certainly planning to come to India sometime. Hopefully when the book on my mother is completed and we can it can be released, but no definite plans so far.
Right. Thank you so much, Anita Bose, for joining us today and for sharing your views and for being candid about what you feel about this tableau controversy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, and Jai Hind to you.
Let's take a very short break here. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with Mirror.